Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the September 2nd, 2020 full moon in Pisces, part 1 of 2. Now, we're talking about full moons in astrology as far as, for those of you that may not know, the basic meaning of a full moon. This could be expressed in very unrestrained, uninhibited uh, emotional energy and unleashing very strong, could say unleashing of emotional energy. What may have been suppressed for a protracted period may finally come out. Given that this is Pisces energy, it could be very chaotic emotions, very all-encompassing emotions, something that you were very exceptionally sensitive to. It could be some kind of suffering for some people, where somebody might have been going through some suffering or been victimized and might be finally getting tired of it. I mean, it's about often where one becomes tired, exasperated, simply full of something or a person or a situation. Uh, this is also something where you're talking about full moons in astrology can often signify endings. It can be about completions, culmination of something, or an ending, something finally reaching a conclusion. It could be a poetry project, some very simple, like a poetry project comes to an end. It might be some prison escapee that is captured after being on the loose for a little bit. And also, full moons in astrology can be about, revelations or unveilings of things as well. And it could be about full moon is about what could be coming out publicly. When you're talking about like the new moon in astrology, new moon is more introspective. That is more about what you might be thinking about devising, formulating some kind of plan for something. Like when we had the new moon in Leo in August, that could have been about a lot of people maybe wanting to start something that was either creative or just simply creating something. Leo can be very creative energy. Now we're talking about the full moon in Pisces. It can conclude, I would hope possibly, this is a little bit unrealistic, maybe a vaccine for this coronavirus. It could be something that seemed maybe out of reach or fantastical that could come to reality. It could be something like going, something with some chemical that might be, some kind of something that might be some beneficial to somebody, that might be chemical related, uh, something like maybe just something that could, some formula that might be something that could actually help people or heal somebody. It could be some kind of healing kind of machine or device. I mean, you're talking about being this full moon in Pisces. It could be also too something innovative coming out, where it could be like a new vaporizer that might help people that be dealing with the coronavirus. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, can be about vapors. And Halloween coming up too is not so distant future, like a fog machine being created. Now, another thing I wanted to get at is that this could, you're talking about this full moon in Pisces can affect all signs collectively, but especially Pisces and Cancer, because you're talking about, because obviously for Pisces, because it's going to be in their sign. So Pisces, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, people might feel the effects of this strongly, and also people that are Cancer, Sun, Moon, or an Ascendant people, because Cancer is ruled by the Moon, and they're simply affected strongly by all phases and transits of the Moon, because the Moon does govern Cancer, and this could be very strongly attributed to why the zodiac sign Cancer can be so moody, temperamental, and fickle. Now, another thing about full moons in astrology, there can be a greater propensity for accidents at this time, and this could be, being in Pisces, what you're talking about, full moons, and the reason a lot of this is triggering because the emotions are in full throttle at this time. and you're talking about people might not always be thinking clearly. You have it's in being in Pisces, you're talking about very chaotic emotions perhaps at this time. They might be attributed to more alcohol, drug related car accidents. Pisces emotions can be all, I mean, you're talking about all encompassing. Could also be connected with people when they're driving where the conditions are a little bit unclear, nebulous, foggy conditions, misty conditions, even flooding. Um, not gauging, being able to gauge like the depth of things when someone's driving. This could, I mean, which could lead to an accident. It could be chemical spills that people really need to be careful of at this time, because I don't think that this is necessarily just restricted to car accidents. There could be accidents that could be connected, like something at work, for example, especially if you have other indicators like in your chart that can show a propensity for that. Say if you have Mars making an adverse aspect to your Neptune in your natal chart, that could show a proclivity for some kind of accidents through something chemical related, or just not paying attention to things. To your surroundings, what's around, because Neptune energy can sometimes dissolve in it, and what it does is it makes things unclear. And when you have Neptune energy involved in something in a negative way, especially, it's going to be where you're not always seeing the details quite as clearly. Now, another thing too is that when you're looking at full moons in astrology, they could be about endings, completions, culminations of things. And since this is in Pisces, it could be the ending for some people, maybe an expression of altruism, or somebody helping somebody less fortunate than yourself, such as somebody that's in an impoverished situation, homeless person, the oppressed, the hungry. It could also be an addiction, may come to an end for some people. It could also be a time of self-sacrificing, may reach a conclusion, or some kind of alcohol, drug-related situation. Maybe some kind of fantasy or some dream somebody had, sadly, may reach a point where it could be where it might be too fantastical, or it's something that was too unrealistic, may come to an end at this time. It could be a situation where you were involved in rescuing somebody, again going back to situations where somebody may be in an impoverished situation, oppressed, homeless, or hungry. Um, some other things too, it could be the end of some sensationalism with some people, or a period of isolation. It could be where, if you were like hiding from society, in some cases it might be a time where that might be coming to an end. Now, also, too, full moons in astrology can manifest in revelations and unveilings of things. This could be a time where many people might have some revelation or unveiling, disclosure about somebody maybe being rather duplicitous or deceptive, or some betrayal that finally comes to life. It could be some fraud. Say if this occurs, if this transit occurs in your 8th house, it could be some insurance fraud that you might become more cognizant of and aware of. When you're talking about full moons in astrology, it could be about things that where you become more cognizant of. Again, it's tied into revelations and unveilings. It could also be simply a self-revelation about oneself. It could be about maybe having more an ability to attain an ideal or dream that you had that previously maybe you weren't aware of, or being able to do something Pisces related, such as working in some healing profession, or something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology, being able to help those less fortunate than yourself, doing something with chemistry or photography, something that could be Pisces related. Now, and it could also be a time, or even working as like a medium or an empath, something that would involve empathic ability. It could also be a time too where there's a revelation or unveiling of maybe somebody being victimized, of somebody. It could be in a domestic situation that comes out that maybe you weren't previously aware of. Like, say if this is in your 11th house, it could be a friend that might have been falling victim to somebody and might have been going through some abuse or some suffering at some point, and it finally comes out and is unveiled and revealed. Hold on a moment, people. Well, full moons in astrology can also be a time when people become very tired, full, simply exasperated at something or someone. It could be a time where maybe you've had enough of maybe a person that's been overly passive or lethargic or indolent, and they're not pulling their weight, so to speak. It could also be something about maybe yourself or another person that might be overly ambivalent or indecisive and can't make up their mind, that's too wishy-washy about something. In some isolated cases, it could be about somebody being a victim, that they finally have had enough of something connected with that, some suffering that they may have been going through. It could be a situation too, where maybe self-pitying, maybe this is a time where you're getting tired of it and you want it to end. Say if you have this in your first house in your natal chart, this could be a time where yourself, if you've been feeling drowning yourself in sorrow or self-pitying, this could be a time where you may decide, okay, enough is enough, and I'm going to do something about this. It's interesting. It makes me think of a story. Many of you may have heard of a renowned motivational guru, Tony Robbins, who was a sun in Pisces, and he told a very interesting story about how he had felt, basically, from what I gather, he was kind of in a situation of self-pity and feeling sorry for himself and playing some sad tunes, and finally he just decided to try to make his dreams manifest into reality, that he wasn't reaching his full potential. I think a lot of that could be this full moon in Pisces energy, if it's manifested and used positively. Uh, it could be a time to, for some people, when you're talking about this, especially if this falls in the second, sixth, or 10th house in one's natal chart. Those are what I consider the money slash career houses. It could be the ending or completion of a Pisces career or job, such as working as an anesthesiologist or somebody in chemistry or photography, working as a poet, filmography, somebody that's writing fantasy or fiction books, working in some kind of simulation games. It could be sports simulation games. It could be something at working as a medium or dancing or fishing. Anything that could be Pisces related to metaphysical, which includes astrology. Now, also too, another thing to be careful is when you're talking about this full moon in Pisces, it's also going to make a conjunction to Neptune, at least a loose conjunction to Neptune at this time. And you're talking about Pisces as the sign associated with suicide, since it is ruled by Neptune, and you might see a proliferation of this at this time, of suicides. And I think I just want to talk in this video just to be careful, people, and not become too drowned in your sorrows and self-pitying, and wind up doing something that could be something that could be very injurious. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Self-inflicted harm. And I know, almost everybody or everybody that sees this won't be contemplating this, but just in case, I wanted to put this out there. I've been through some trials and tribulations, and I'm 50 years old. I'm still alive. I don't have a significant other. I have a lot of negatives in my life, irrevocable nerve damage as an example, and I'm still here. So I just want to talk people that they have to just really be careful at this time in their thoughts, and not to become overly negative or pessimistic about things and about life at this time. And you're talking about this making at least a loose conjunction to Neptune and Neptune can be about isolation and suffering as well. So if you're going through some situation and you're going through some suffering and some tribulation, it's important. And if you're contemplating suicide, there's always numbers and hotlines to get at and set up appointments with the right people. And if you know any friends out there or family members that you think are going to be involved in that, then you need to contact the right people, and maybe even talk to those people that are involved, that might be thinking about that. So I just wanted to put this out here because, again, Pisces is the sign connected with suicide. It is going to be at least making a loose conjunction to Neptune at this time, and of course, I mean, Pisces being a feminine sign is negative energy. And it is the sign associated with, I mean, it is a sign of endings. It is the last sign of the zodiac. So I just wanted to put this out here. And anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.